Welcome, guys, to another episode of Beat the Odds. I'm here with a very, very special guest, Bryan Casella. He's one of the top realtors in the West Covina area, leader of Team BC, a nationwide team. I don't want to say everything about this guy because he has a lot to share and a lot of information to share, so I'm going to give the floor right to you, Bryan. Welcome.
Vernell, man. I'm happy, dude. I remember when you were going to start the podcast and everything. I remember meeting you, what was it, almost 2 years ago now, bro, when you came to the first MS event, which I know we'll talk about. Yeah. Really cool, man. Really cool to see your evolution, bro. So I'm glad to be here and happy to share.
Yes, it's great to have him here. But one of the first things that we wanted to touch on is how you got started in the game of business, real estate, and what did it look like when you first got started?
Yeah, man. So, I could relate a lot to you because we both play basketball, right? And you know the type of dedication that it takes. Right. And before I got into real estate and started this whole like real estate and online thing, coming out of my career because of injuries, it was really difficult for me, that transition, right? And the thought had already been planted when I was in school. So when I was in school, for the people who don't know, a lot of times when you get a scholarship, you get like work study, right? So when you get a work study program, it's a requirement per your scholarship that you have to work. Yeah. So on campus, I worked like at the library and things of that nature. So I already got a small taste there of what it was like to work for somebody else. And real quick, I was like, this isn't for me, right? I'm showing up early, leaving late, doing extra work. And because of the way the system is set up there, everybody ggets paid the same. Right. So I remember like cornering the manager. I'm like, bro, like I'm doing all the work. Jim and John aren't doing any of the work. I won't say names, right? But, I'm doing all the work. So fire them or pay me more because this isn't fair. Right. And then I got the whole, corporate lingo, how it goes back and forth. Well, per the system, blah, 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 right? Those fancy emails they send you. Right. Nothing happened. And it planted the seed, right? And I'm saying this because, after my basketball career, when it was time to, and like they say, face reality, right? Yeah. I went through that transition. It was tough, man, but I said, okay, I got to dust myself off. I'm only, 24, 25. I have my whole life ahead of me. I can't play the victim forever, right? So now I start hanging out with some of my friends who are doing entrepreneurial things and just seeing what they do. I have friends who are selling clothes. I had friends who were doing like mobile detailing, like washing cars. Yeah. And I said, hey, bro, let me like spend a day or two with you. You don't have to pay me. I just want to work for you and kind of see what it's like to see if this business is something that I would like. So I'm spending time with them. I'm like, nah, I don't like this. I don't like that. And I want to make a point. I experienced it. I didn't go on YouTube and look at videos. Right. I said, let me intern for you for a day or two. Let me work for free to get a taste of this business, right? You fast forward, I walk into a real estate office because, all the offices have that make $100,000 your first year.
I've seen
the
those.
Banners?
Yeah. I've seen those banners.
It's like that one dude that did it 20 years ago, right? So my mind was, okay, I'm sure that one guy did it. Let me find him. Right, let me find him. Yeah. So that's what I did. And I walked in, I started talking to, the broker and some of the employees there, and I was getting a feel for it. And I said, you know what, this makes a lot of sense. I can take a lot of my assets that I, built and my skills through basketball, and I just have to take them from the court to the office. Mm-hmm. I can figure this out. And on paper, it didn't look good, right? I didn't own a suit, right? I had to borrow my dad's suit, and the sleeves like went down to here, right? Yeah. I had never done sales. Again, I've never had a real job except for like 6 months when I was in college. I worked at Blockbuster. If people remember what Blockbuster is, right? Like before Netflix and, Redbox and all that. Yeah. So, on paper it looked bad, but I said, I can figure this thing out and it makes sense for me, bro. So that was kind of the backstory for me getting into real estate. And I kind of connected the dots in a non-traditional way because I'm sure you can relate being younger. When people look at us at that age, or especially in your 20s, or even us when we look at something, we already are looking for what's missing or what's wrong or what can go bad. We're not looking at the opportunity. I kind of looked at it differently and said, there's a tremendous opportunity here. Yeah, I'm young. Yeah, I don't have experience, but I can overcome that. Let me look at what's possible. And that's kind of what opened the door to everything that you see today.
Right. That's a great start to the you getting in business. But what made you, because most people, like you said, go on YouTube, look for videos, or they want to buy programs before they even do anything. What made you get out there and want to experience it first? What were you thinking at that point?
At that point, obviously a lot of this like YouTube stuff didn't exist back then, right? But even then, talking to my dad always instilled like traditional values in me, like working hard and figuring things out and, tackling things head on. That's like the one really good thing I can say that he instilled in me. So back then, because I'd already made the decision that like a 9-to-5 job wasn't an option, that had a lot to do with it because I didn't have the leisure, in quotes, to just say, hey, let me go interview here or interview there. Yeah. In my mind, I was like, that's not even an option. Even though everybody's like, dude, you need to face reality, get a real job, like, you know, accept the fact that, you know, your career's done. I'm not even listening to them. I'm mad that they're saying it. I'm mad, but I'm like, I'm not even going to consider it. I would rather sleep outside, you know, by myself, a bum, broke, like with no clothes, than to get a 9 to 5. Like, cause I knew it would eat away at my soul. Like a lot of people, that 9 to 5, like being in an office. It's just, to me, I was like, dude, if that happens to me, like I'm going to put a bullet in my brain. You know what I mean? Like,
I feel you.
Mentally, I was already there. So the experience part was partly that, but also like I wanted to get a feel for it. Entrepreneurship, right? What does it mean? I didn't know anything about it. I had seen it from afar. You know, I admired a lot of like athletes and people like that because they would like start their own businesses once they had money. And some of them who were thinking, like Kobe, you know, he didn't just rely on his athleticism and his skills. He was doing a lot of things outside of the basketball world. So that's kind of what I saw, you know, watching his interviews and studying people. So for me, it was, okay, I need to learn hands-on. What other way am I going to learn, right? We had already done that with basketball. Yeah, I can learn from a coach, but I got to be on the court doing the drills. I can't just sit at home flipping on, you know, the channel and watching Kobe and being like, oh, I'm going to do it, you know, and then pretending. We got to get on the court and do it. So I think it's a combination of both of those that really allowed me the ability and the foresight to see, hey, this is what I need to do. I need to go in there and figure it out to see if this is for me.
Right. Yeah. So after you decided it was for you, what did your first year look like? Was it tough? Did you just breeze through, make a lot of money?
Man, that first year, bro, was a roller coaster, man. So I get in and I'll fast forward through all the stuff. In the beginning, it kind of frustrated me because when you in California, when you get your license, you have to submit everything to the state, right? And the Department of Real Estate, which back then was a BRE, which is now the DRE, they have to process everything at the government offices. And you would fill in your paperwork and then you would submit it. They kept sending it back. They sent it back 3 times saying, you're not filling it out right. So literally, bro, and this is before people are doing video. I had somebody record on their phone in like 140p quality, right? Because the phones are trash back then. Me signing it, and I called them. I'm like, dude, who do I need to send this email to prove that I'm signing this shit correctly? Because I've done it 3 times, and you guys keep sending it back, and I want my motherfucking license. Like, I'm ready to go. Because I'm like right there on the edge, bro, wanting to start, and like they're not giving me my license. So legally, I can't do a lot of the activities. I can't be calling people and pitching people because I don't have my license. So I literally send it to them. Like, I don't know if they opened the email or whatever, but finally I got my license, right? So that first year, dude, a lot of mixed emotions, right? I'm being thrown into the lion's den, right? I don't really know what's going on. I've watched a little bit of like Mike Ferry, who's like the godfather of real estate. But even back then, people were handing me like his CDs and stuff like that. He didn't have a YouTube channel. Like, he wasn't producing content. That wasn't a thing back then. So I'm learning it from some of the people in my brokerage. And the first year, man, was a roller coaster emotionally, but also like humbling at the same time, because when you reach a certain level in anything, like, you know, playing basketball, bro, when you go from being really good at something to starting something new and being trash at it, like, it fucks with your ego, dude. You know? So I'm going knocking on doors, and I look goofy, man. I have like a polo on, I have a backpack on, going door to door, and I'm like, dude, what am I doing? First conversation with a person, I'm like fumbling, like what I'm gonna say. I'm looking at my script. I took my script with me, bro, and I'm like, oh, I have a few questions I'd like to ask you. Looking horrible, bro. Like the worst you can do, right? I have my little branded polo from Century 21, thinking I'm fly, but it's trash, right? So I'm doing that, dude, and you know, the first like 2 or 3 months, man, I get like 2 deals. Boom, my friend wants to buy a house. And then I'm cold calling, boom, I get this other dude. Almost to the point where I'm like, damn, is this shit like real? Or am I like in the Matrix moment right now where like I'm gonna wake up from a dream and it's not like really real? So I get 2 deals, but then I hit this like 3-month gap, bro, 3.5 months where I don't get anything. Like, I'm busting my ass every day. I'm on the doors, I'm making calls. And so people understand, I spent about 4 days a week, right? There were 6 days a week I would work, but 4 days out of the week, I was minimum spending at least 3 hours going door to door, 100 residential doors knocking, and I would make 200 hand dials of phone calls. So if you guys know those office phones, those big black ones, I would hand dial, hang up, right? Like almost like Will Smith in The Pursuit of Happiness, right? Yeah. So I'm like doing what he did and like not hanging up the phone, so I'm quicker. Yeah. So 200 hand dials, 100 doors every day, bro. And then 2 days out of the week, I would do extra. I would do 125 doors, then I would do 250 calls, right? So that's the 2 extra days. So out of the 6, 4 is hard, 2 is extra work. Wow. So you're looking at about 5 to 6 hours minimum of active prospecting every day, which is what it's called if they don't know, prospecting, right? Yeah. So that's a lot, man. And so for me to do that for 3.5 months with like no results, nothing to show for it besides, hey, I got a couple of leads. But you know what leads are? Nothing, right? They're leads.
You can't cash them in.
You know, that's when the world started closing in on me, bro. And that's where I kind of hit that point where I started realizing, okay, you know, all the stuff that I used to sweep under the rug, like reading, you know, working on your mind. My broker had told me when he interviewed, he said, bro, he's like 95% of this business is between the ears. You're going to pick up everything, but you're going to hit points in your career where if you're not right up here and you're not working on this, you're not going to get anywhere. You're going to fail. Because he told me he's like 87% of people fail within their first year or two. Like they're out of the business. And of course, me being from basketball, I'm like, I ain't going to fucking fail, right? Like I'm going to be number one.
Right.
And I said that. I went to the first office meeting and I pointed to the board. I was like, remember this face because I'm going to be up on this board by the end of the year, right? And then I'll let you know later in the interview if I made it, right?
Right.
So I hit that dry period, right? And that's when it kind of dawned on me. I said, okay, something needs to change. Right? This is still in that first year. I'm about 3-4 months in. That's when I started looking at different subjects, studying, right? Now, getting a little bit into the social media and sharing my journey, right? Posting my thoughts, what I was reading, what I was going through, right? Almost like, and it first started as like kind of like a video diary and like a social media diary. It wasn't like, I want to get 1 million followers. It was just showing and having a record of what I was going through so I could look back and say, when I read that, I can be like, oh man, I was really in a low point there. I can tell by what I read or watching the video.
Yeah.
You know? But also I started reading and really investing in myself, reading books, going to events, meeting people, and really taking that inner game to the next level, right? And shortly after that, about 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks after that, my business starts, you know, getting a little bit more consistent. I start getting 1 deal a month, then 1.5, then 2, and I start building that kind of snowball effect. So the end of my first year, I end up, I think I closed 14 or 15 transactions. I can't remember, but it ended up being 123,000 in gross commissions. And because I was on such a bad split in my company, I walked away with like half of that, right? Wow. But at the time, you know, having thought I'm not going to make any money to now on paper saying, dude, I just made 123,000 gross, but that's over 6 figures, right? Yeah. It really fueled me and it sparked me. But in a nutshell, bro, that was that first year. So I had a lot of good and a lot of bad, but a lot of good pivotal moments that were like lessons for me. And I think for a lot of people, when they're hit with those moments where they can reflect and say, man, I need to work on my inner game, instead of using those moments for that purpose, they shower in the emotion of it, the negative emotion of it, and then they play the victim, right?
Right. And why do you think that is though? Like, why do you take action and continue through adversity versus the next person? Right. Is it just between the ears or?
I mean, there's a lot, bro. Advice that I'd gotten from people, right? Like my brokers and people that I had, you know, looked up to and asked questions to, because I had always asked, like when I got there, I said, hey, dude, let me take you out to lunch. I'll pay, even though I would have to put it on a credit card and sweat, like hopefully it doesn't get rejected, right? You know, or my debit card, like, fuck, I'm down to like my last $20. Don't get rejected. You know, then I get that second receipt. I'm like, whew, you know, like I can sign it. Talking to those people. Also, what I really think, and people maybe sometimes take this the wrong way, but like when I say I didn't have a plan B, like I didn't have a plan B, right? So getting into real estate, you know, getting through these moments, I wasn't like, well, because this is where some people will mess up, I think. They start thinking the plan B. Well, you know, I could, if I don't make it, and they do this in the beginning too. If I don't make it, I can get this job with like my aunt or my uncle. I can make 30 grand. So I have like a little safety net.
Yeah.
I didn't have that. That to me was like, that's weakness to me. I'm not saying that this is the right way, but to me, I was like, that's weakness.
Agreed.
And if I'm starting already planning just in case, or if I fail, I'm planning and already speaking into existence a possibility of failure, and I don't want that, right? So that was just where my mind was at. So for me, I had no other choice. To answer your question short, bro, I had no other choice. It was I'm making it or I'm out on the street. And then if I'm out on the street, I'm at it again until I make it. Like that was the mentality for me. And it was easier for me to adopt that mentality maybe because of basketball. Because basketball for me was no holds barred, like almost Dennis Rodman type stuff. Like I'm diving on balls. Like I didn't give a fuck. Like that's how I played. You know, I would during the game be so mad at my teammates sometimes. I'm like, bro, like you got to give it all. Right. After the game, we're cool. But on the court, bro, like some people didn't like me because I was so intense. Yeah. But it was to win. It wasn't a personal thing.
Right.
So with me, I was like, dude, this is the same thing, but this is my life now. You know what I mean? This is my livelihood. This is my family. This is my legacy. I can't just be like, I tried. Because I hated hearing that from people, bro. I tried. Like, what the fuck does that even mean, bro? You tried. Right. You know what I mean?
I know exactly.
You know, so like even Yoda would be like, there's no try. You do or you don't do it. And even silly stuff like that would always play in my mind, bro. So that's where I was mentally. in those situations. So I just didn't have a choice, bro. This was my duty. This is my obligation. I don't know anything else. I need to figure it the fuck out.
Right.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you got into the whole online game. What made you take it from diary to I'm going to start to monetize this?
Man, great question, bro. A lot happened, bro. Like in the beginning, it was very just innocent, right? Then all of a sudden I started getting a following, right? I noticed that when I'm sending videos to clients or sharing them YouTube links, they're really responding to it. I'm sending text message follow-ups sometimes because they're not answering the phone and they're liking the videos and responding. I'm like, dude, this guy hasn't responded in 2 months. I sent him a video within seconds. He sends me a message back. So immediately I downloaded it in my mind. Okay, this is a different way. So it's me being versatile, but at the same time, there's something to this like video thing. Like people are responding to video differently. Like it hits people. I made the connection early on because I thought, well, you know what? People are kind of seeing somebody on a screen like they're watching TV, right? So they see you as an expert or like a figure of authority or like, oh, it's the news anchor. I have so much respect for that dude. You know what I mean? To where you see him in the street, you're like, oh, that's Bob.
Yeah,
you know, like, oh shit, let me get a picture, bro. You know, like almost like that celebrity status.
Yeah, without a doubt.
You know, now there's some pieces that go with it, which maybe we'll talk about later in general, but I noticed that, right? And then about 1 to 2 years in, just so people have reference, 1,000 subscribers, 2 years to get 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, 2 years. Right?
Most people would have quit.
A lot of people missed that, right?
Yeah,
but again,
that's a long time.
I didn't trip because it wasn't about the subscribers. It was still then about getting the message out. Near that time, it clicked because I had gotten so many messages. Do you sell products? Do you do coaching? And people are coming to me for advice. I'm still naive, bro. I'm thinking, man, I don't know shit. I still don't know shit, but I'm like, dude, I have access to the information that you guys have access to. Like, how could you be asking me these questions when like the answers are there, bro?
Right.
Or I give them the answer and they're like, oh man, like you're right. I'm like, then why the fuck did you ask? You know what I mean? Like where is this coming from, bro? So, well, you know, that happens. Then I'm getting a flood of really beautiful messages like, bro, I was really feeling depressed, but your videos helped me, right? Or that one book you recommend, like saved my life, you know, stuff like that. Yeah. Now I'm piecing it together that, okay, in my mind, I don't think I'm shit technically, right? From a social media standpoint, but apparently it's causing like a ripple effect, right? I'm going to events for other coaches and companies and people are like, oh man, you do the stuff on YouTube. I'm like, motherfucker, I have 1,000 subscribers. Like, how do you know me? And like dudes are in the bathroom talking to me. I'm like, bro, it's kind of awkward talking to me in the bathroom. Like, let's talk outside, right? Yeah, just weird. But that started happening. That's kind of when it clicked, bro. Then it wasn't, okay, I'm going to post once a week. It was, okay, I'm going to take this a little bit more serious now, right? Then you fast forward to the end of 2015, which is just over 2 years in. My cat, sorry. I make my first product, Door Knocking 101, right? I'm like, it's cool. People ask for it. It was fun making it, whatever. It's like an hour-long product. It's not even that big, right? Or long. Boom. I announced that I'm going to release it. I get hit up by like 5 people in the industry. We do like interviews for YouTube and podcasts. It gets featured on Inman News, which is like the biggest real estate like news website ever. Oh. And they publish it. And man, I get like, I think... what was it? It was $300, right? When I released it, it was $297 and like 100 people bought it, bro, in the first month. That's $30,000. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like at that point, that would be a good month for me in commission. Right? Because I'm still pretty new. I'm making money, but like that year, I think I made 250 grand. I doubled what I made the year before in gross commission, gross. So that's like 20 grand a month. So I'm like, holy shit. Now, I don't get blinded by the money, but I'm like, damn. Apparently my name or this stuff has some weight to it. This is real. You know, from that moment on, I started making it now a part of my schedule and a priority. And I said, okay, you know, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. By the way, that product wasn't fancy, but I just said, I'm going to do it. I literally announced it and then finished the video. And I was like, oh shit, like how do I make a product? I started asking, like I had no idea, but I committed first, you know, but I gave my word and I said, it's going to release. So on January 1st, 2016, it released, right? And just from there, dude, it started becoming, okay, I'm going to do lives once a week on Facebook. I'm going to start posting minimum once on YouTube a week, but, you know, twice now. And I'm going to release a schedule and tell people, hey, every Monday and Friday, you can expect a video on YouTube. And it just became a part of what I do, right? And I think that's where I made the transition that a lot of people miss. I'm not doing YouTube and doing social media. It's a part of my life. Right. In a good way, because we're creating, right? We're not consuming. You can consume, sure. Hopefully the right way, right? To educate yourself and better yourself and not just waste time. However, I'm creating now and it's a part of what I do. Just like today, I'm not doing real estate. It's just a part of me, bro. That's why I enjoy doing podcasts with you, my own podcast and all this, because this is fun. I'm not going out of my way and being like, oh, bro, I can't wait for this to be done. It's fun, and I'm just doing it, right? And I'm enjoying the journey. That's kind of that transition, you know?
Yeah, and you mentioned something so key. When I released one of my first products, I didn't even have it done.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I got to make a product now.
Yeah.
We committed, or you committed first and did it and worried about the rest later. Like, what makes you move in that way versus somebody who, oh, I need to have a right camera, I need to have this, I need to have that, I need to have lighting. What are you thinking in those moments?
Yeah, for me, dude, at that point, I'm about 2 years, a little bit more into the game. And bro, I'm reading books like a sponge, man. I'm just reading. And what I found that was a common denominator with all the top dogs. I'm talking reading books on like top business people, Trump, you know, like The Art of the Deal, all kinds of stuff. And just I'm like, dude, I'm connecting all these dots. These guys make decisions quick. They commit first, you know, shoot first, ask questions later, right? As far as like execution. Right. And it just, that stuff, when you read it so much, it gets embedded in you to where like now that becomes a part of your beingness and you just act that way, dude. And that's what it was. Or if I was ever in doubt, I would say, so-and-so, you know, how would he act? What would Tony Robbins do? What would Donald Trump do? What would Kobe do right now? What would Michael Jordan do right now? And the answers would just come. You know, I'm doing meditations and visualizations, having conversations with Kobe. I'm like, hey, bro, what do you think I should do with my business? Right? Because that's a part of the mastermind visualization that you get in one of Napoleon Hill's books, right? Which is basic, Think and Grow Rich. That meditation is in that book. And that book is like a bestseller. Right. So it blows my mind that it's sold millions of copies and no one's ever done it or heard of it. They're like, bro, I read that book. Wait, I didn't even see that, right? It was in there. So I'm having conversations with those guys. And again, that just becomes a part of you, bro, because who you're around, what you're studying, what you're focused on, it becomes a part of you. And that's how it was, dude. It wasn't something that I did. It was just a part of me at that point, to where everything I was consuming and the people I was learning from, I just adopted what they were doing. It just naturally became a part of me. And that's why you hear people say so much, bro, you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and the sum of the books that you're reading. Right? I was focused, like obsessed, bro. Like nothing outside of real estate mindset and that stuff existed for me at all. Like, hey, bro, you want to go drink? No. Hey, you want to do this? No. It was like meditate, read, work out, right? And spend time with people who I know are going to help me progress, and vice versa. That's it. For 2 or 3 years, that's all that existed. So that learning curve, dude, just went whoosh. Right. Yeah, and it was super quick.
And that's powerful. So once you started to grow the social media, did you have like a set strategy before you did it, or you just did it and adjusted as you go?
I would say I was more adjusted as I go, you know. Again, I still to this day don't consider myself too knowledgeable in that. I just had a few key focuses from the beginning, and I think this will help answer your question the best. Number one, I realized very early on in my industry and just in general in life, most people are full of shit, right? They'll get behind the camera and play a certain character. Like I know people who, you know, off camera, they'll look like trash, but if they were going to do this interview with you on purpose, it would show up just in a full suit with shoes. Just because they have to play that part. And anytime they're in the public eye, they have to be seen that way because they're insecure being seen the other way, right? Now, it's still good for somebody to dress up, sure. But is that who you are off camera? So my thing was, I'm never going to bullshit people. I'm just going to call it as it is, say it as it is, and be who I am, right? Now, I know how to play the game too. So in real estate, I know people expect somebody to be in a suit. I'm not going to be dumb just to be a rebel and say, well, I'm not going to wear a suit. That's dumb. Right? Play the game properly. I'm not saying don't play the game properly, but I'm going to be real. And back then, and even now, that has become cliche, but nobody's fucking real. You've been in the space for a while now, and you've met a lot of people. I'm sure you can probably tally up a lot of people who aren't real. Right. And you can probably count on one who is. Yeah, you can probably count on one hand or a couple of fingers who's real. So that was my thing. And I said, look, there's something to that, because some of the people that I've connected with that are like real, that I'm like, man, I really dig this person. Dude, I'll go to all their events. I'll buy all their shit just to support them. Right. Yeah, I'm learning, but I really want to support this person and see them grow. Right. Like when you posted your book, your first book in the group, what, like 50, 60 people in MS bought the book right away. Right away. Crazy. What, within a day or two?
The same day.
Yeah, and I love that. We built that community, but at the same time, that's what we do. That's what I was doing too, right? So I knew, okay, if I'm doing it with them, there's going to be other people out there that are going to do that with me. Yeah. Number two, it was never about the money, the subscribers, the likes and comments and shares and all that. Yes, that's important and I measure it, but it wasn't just about that. My filter for making content and doing content was what's going to get the most clicks, what's going to get the most likes. It was make the content, thinking, if I'm the other end user searching for something, or I'm in the shoes of being a new real estate agent or a new salesperson, what do I really want to learn? What do I need to learn? And that's where my content came from. Then I would, optimize. Okay, let me work on the title a little bit. And with titles, as an example, before I learned anything, it was, okay, if I was somebody going to watch me, how would I type this into the search?
Yeah.
That was how I would write the title, right? Tags, bro, I didn't even know about tags the first like 2 years. So I'm posting videos, and I changed it now because I had my dude go in and put tags. I didn't have tags on my videos for a long time. I didn't know, but it didn't stop me from doing it, right? And a lot of those videos ended up getting 20, 30, 40, 50,000 views with no tags. So how the hell does that happen? You have to have some fucking good content.
Yeah.
Or be one of the first people in that genre to do it, which I think was part of it too, is I got into it right away and wasn't afraid to show entrepreneurship, real estate, and do it the way that I did it. And I would say that's probably the third point, is I was kind of a trailblazer in a sense, because I was one of the first people to show this side of it, but in the way that I did it. There was already people doing videos as real estate agents, but I did it a different way, my way. And I was willing to be the rebel and stand out and be the object of criticism and judgment, which I've dealt with from day one.
Yeah.
Why are you wearing that suit? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? You can't talk like that. You can't walk like that. You can't talk about cars on your YouTube. You're in real estate. Oh, you can't talk about this. You're a realtor. I've been dealing with that from day one, you know? So that was another one. It was just the way that I did it. And I think a lot of people get caught up in the trap of, but this way gets the most views. It's not just about that, dude. Because when I go to somebody or I vibe with somebody online or anybody that I meet, it's because they're an individual, dude. You're never going to see me vibe with somebody who's a carbon copy of somebody else, right? And unfortunately, I've seen a lot of people watch my shit and then try to be the carbon copy of me. I'll message them. I'm like, bro, I love the fact that you're doing it, but don't try to be me, dude. Be you.
Right.
Take what I'm teaching you and run with it.
Right.
But do it your way. You don't have to sound like me. You don't have to talk like me. You can maybe take things from me, sure. But if you're going to be just like me, it's not going to work, because they're going to say you're BC number 2.
Yeah.
It's not going to work.
And then you never create a brand.
So I would say, bro, those are probably the 3 things really in the beginning that helped me. And one of those, the most important ones, I think the focus wasn't the dollar, my bank account and that kind of stuff. It was just putting out good stuff. And I have just on YouTube alone, 13 or 1,400 videos now, because I keep putting out good content. It's never about the views and the clicks and the likes.
And you mentioned not just doing it and being yourself, playing the game, but also injecting your own personality into it. Yeah. How would somebody do that and play the game at the same time? How did you do it?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot, man. So the one thing that I did in the beginning that was really, really cool that I think a lot of people were afraid to do is, and this may be a little bit more popular now, but giving people a real insight into an actual day in the life of what you do in your career, right? Yeah. But how you do it. So if you wake up and you use a weird toothpaste, show people that, right? Yeah. If you have a crazy drink that you make in the morning before you get to work, show people that, right? If you're the one who gets in the office at 5 a.m, show it. Everybody goes to the office, but is everybody going to the office at 5 a.m? No, right? Do you have a special routine that you do? I have a friend who does the cold ice baths at 6 a.m, and he shows that on his vlog. So he'll get a ton of views just because of that. And the whole comment section is damn, how cold is that water, right? See, but he's not doing it for the views. He's just showing you what he's doing anyway, right? So that's where the individuality comes in. I'm playing the game by showing people what I'm doing, which is a day in the life that everybody does supposedly, but you're seeing my day in the life. Yeah. Now, if someone says, well, my day in the life is average, okay, then if you're average, then nothing's going to happen. You have to do something that other people aren't doing, right? And when you look at people who get results, they're doing something differently. All the stories you heard of Kobe, he's calling his coach at 2 a.m. Hey, bro, let's get some shots up. Yeah. The coach leaves. He comes back. Kobe's still there, and he hasn't left. And they have practice at 9 a.m. He's been there 7 hours already, right? Imagine a camera staying there for 7 hours and doing that hyper speed, and you just see Kobe there for 7 hours. I'd be like, damn, right? That's what I'm talking about, dude. So I'm playing the game. That's a good example, I think, of playing the game, but doing it my way. What are you doing after? What are you doing for lunch? What's that one special thing you do, right? What do you sound like on the phone? One of the first things that blew up for me was the live calls that I started doing. I said, I'm doing calls anyway. Why don't I post it? And I'm posting unedited, raw calls. And those videos to this day are still getting 500, 1,000 views a day. Yeah. And they all have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 700,000 views to this day, and getting more because I just showed it, right? And with that comes everything. You suck. Oh, it's a fake call. Yeah. Oh, why'd you post this? Oh, you need work. Oh, let me teach you, right? But that's okay. But see, even now, I tell people, post live calls. I'll tell 100 people, maybe one will do it once and never do it again.
Wow.
Like, do I need to teach anything new? No, but that's me playing the game. Same thing, like in one of them, I'm making a call, but that tea I drink that you see me and Pablo drinking all the time, the mate.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people won't show that. A lot of comments, dude, what's that tea? What is that you're drinking? Is that people think it's weed because it's green and it's a flag? And I'm like, are you drinking weed? I'm like, no, bro. Right? That's what people think, right? So that would be a way of me calling, but then sprinkling some individuality into it too.
Yeah.
Or drinking a jug of water, because I would carry around those gallon jugs, the plastic jugs, and I would drink it. And I'm literally, while the dude's talking, drinking, and half the comments in the comment section are like, damn, this fool's just chugging water while he's drinking.
Yeah.
But a lot of people say, well, I can't do that on camera because you can't do that. You're not supposed to do that when you make calls. Right. You see how the rigidness comes in there and it removes the element of you, right? Or even the type of shirt. For a while, I was always, when I was calling, wearing this like a shirt that I had with all the emojis from the phone, right? And, oh, that's so unprofessional. I'm like, dude, but you're here watching the video, right? But that's me. Am I like that 24/7? No, but that's a snippet of me from my home office making a call dressed like I would be dressed, right? So that's where people can kind of connect the dots. And I think a lot of it is people are unwilling to be vulnerable, bro. That is me. Not maybe necessarily sharing a vulnerability, but putting myself in a position where I know the potential of people criticizing me and judging me is going to come in. Right. But that happens when you start what you did. That happens when you go door to door or you pick up the phone and make a call. You have to put yourself in those compromising positions to get results. Right. And a lot of people are just unwilling to do it.
Right. That makes sense. And when it came to starting putting out the content, being vulnerable, letting people in what you're doing on a day-to-day, did that help build the massive community that you have now with the whole Modern Success, the whole movement that you built, over 300 people now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It was like when I look now, some of my most viewed videos are the day in the life stuff, the calls, and then some of the collabs that I was doing and car content. I have 2 Sphinx cats, all right? So they're making noise and running around, right? It'll make this episode unique. They're crazy. So I was doing a lot, like the car content for sure. Like I did one where I went to the Fast and Furious house over here. It's like 20 minutes from here. Boom, that video got like 1.3 million views. Out of nowhere, bro. Like 2 months later, it just gets shoved into the algorithm. And it's literally getting like 20, 30, 40,000 views a day. It was like number 8 on the trending list on YouTube at that time.
Crazy.
Right? So it's a mix of that plus collaborating too. With me being willing to share my individuality, bro, it opened the door to collab. So I started collabing with people in the car community and I have friends who are like dating coaches in that community. Yeah. I was interviewing people on my channel and being invited to their channel. That funneled people in. But the glue that then allowed me to create something like Modern Success, which is the coaching program, right? Was when that floodgate opens and you start getting people, which it inevitably happens. Who are they coming to? And what has your foundation been built on? The number one thing that you'll hear from people in the group is, man, I feel like this is family.
Yeah.
Right? And I know you feel that way too. And that's created with everything we've discussed up to now, right? And then opening up the floodgates to other people. And the right people will stick. Because something like this is not for the majority. It's for the minority of people. Right? That's why, we have aspirations to grow this to 500 and to 1,000, and we will. But this is never going to be like a 50 million or 100 million people movement because it's very specific. The more you share, right, the more that the public and other people are going to create wedges between you and contrasts. Right. I love everything you do, Bryan, but I don't like the fact that you voted for Trump as an example. Right. Cool. Right? Now, if someone wants to be in my circle and they can't get past that, they don't deserve to be in the circle because of what we push from a mental standpoint. Right. We should be able to disagree on something and still be cool and have a conversation about it, or we can still be cool and not even talk about it, right? So that person would not fit. They would very quickly be like, oh, I'm in a pool of sharks and I'm a seal. It's not going to work, right? Not at all. Or I'm a cheetah in a group of lions. It's not going to work, right? Not at all. So that's why the flood of people came in, but then that foundation was set on the right values, me sharing with people what I represent, what I stand for, right? The more that's out there of that, and the more you're a living embodiment of your beliefs and philosophies and all that, the more you can draw in the right people. Because I'm not saying I'm better or worse. All I'm saying is it's clear what I am. Like if I was this mic, you know exactly what's coming with it. I'm not hiding stuff from you. And then you open the box, you're like, oh, what the hell is this? It's not even the mic. You know what you're getting. So when you commit to purchase or join us, you know exactly what you're getting into. And I truly believe that's why I've been able to grow it organically. That's such a magnetic force. The family, crazy. Keeping it real, authenticity, obviously not even talking about the information. Let's put that to the side, right? But just this element of community and all that. It's so hard to find nowadays, bro. It's so hard to find. I don't care where you're from. I don't care what you do. It's so hard, even with our own families, to create that.
Right.
It's impossible. So the fact that that's been created and built on those core values, I think is why it was able to happen, because it's just so rare, dude. And when I look at other people and what they're doing, they haven't been able to connect all those dots of like bringing in the right amount of people and then clearly showing this is what this is. A lot of people are afraid to do that. Hey, this is what you're going to get.
Right.
Yeah.
So doing that, is that the same strategy that you're going to use to get it to 500 to 1,000 people eventually, keeping it 100% real, doing it organically, or do you have plans to run ads and tweak the message, or what are your plans for going forward?
Yeah, as I've, learned and grown, in the beginning, even my products, bro, and still to this day, a lot of them, which is kind of like a subset of Modern Success, it's just like videos that I've recorded and put on Google Drive. Then when you buy it, you get access, and you've seen them, like they're not even edited. There's some where I'm filming the video, the product, and then somebody walks in, I'm like, hey, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And then I keep talking in the product and I don't edit that out, right? And people love that, right? Because it's like, I know the quality is good, which is number one,
content.
right? The content and the quality is good. But so moving forward, it's a two-way street, I can say. One is obviously as a community grows, I'm not this like dictator. I want feedback from everybody, which I've been getting. And that's why we've been making tweaks on creating more curriculums, more subsets within the program, which is going to increase people retaining and staying in, actually engaging with the content. And then from the inside, adjusting things and making it better and improving, right? Which we're supposed to do as people anyway. Right. The other part is, yes, absolutely. In order for me to possibly capture more people, we are going to have to run ads and do different things. So now I'm incorporating two different things. One, where I'm doing like free webinars and hosting events that are free to bring people in and funnel them in, but also paid advertising and targeted advertising, retargeting on Facebook and Instagram, and also just paid ads where we're creating a video and then just pushing it out to the masses.
Because the retargeting can, I mean, that's like one of the cheapest ways to get in front of the people who really resonate with your message. But as it pertains to that, like continuing with the whole Modern Success thing, do you want to not only branch out with the events, or do you want to do it just how you're doing it now, twice a year with the events, or do you want to do more events? Do you want to do more one-on-one stuff? What does it look like for that? Yeah, I mean, it's going to evolve, man. I mean, it's tough for me to say exactly where that's going to go because it's kind of like it's like almost like clay, that I'm kind of molding as I go. As you go. Because it's followed the theme of me just figuring shit out as I go. Same thing with me expanding my team outside of Southern California. When I made the decision and then officially said with Carol and Paula, hey, we're a team, and we got off that Zoom call, I'm like, damn, what the hell do I do next? Like, same thing as earlier. Like, I don't even know what the hell I'm doing, but I trust myself to figure it out. So ultimately, if I can focus to answer the question with a few key points. Number one is I would like to maybe sneak in another event or something similar. That's really what creates that community dynamic, is I'm bringing everybody together. I'm bringing everybody together. So I would like to do more of that. And other than that, I do really like the format of us doing the video calls every week. What I may start doing though is maybe doing like events that are longer, right? And then maybe doing like that week's lecture at the event, right? Which would be really, really cool. Yeah, and then, that would. Obviously expanding too, allowing you guys to bring more guests if you would like, changing locations, and now we're doing activities together as a community. Right, like with the team in June, we're going to go to Hawaii, right, which I invited you to go. And we're going to do activities, something like that, but for Modern Success, right? Where now it's really cool. Then even at one of the events, saying, hey, we're going to brainstorm for an hour as a community how we can make Modern Success better and get input from the actual members to improve it, right? So now I'm including everybody. So those are just some things that are kind of at the forefront of my mind, man. But I think the community as itself is unique, but it's cool, and it's going to keep growing, man. It's just a matter now of combining a few pieces and just kind of fanning the flames on it. Yeah, dude, that's awesome. Now you've been moving and shaking crazy during the pandemic. Like, you've expanded the team nationwide. That was during the whole coronavirus thing. That's when you started that. Why are you moving and shaking amongst all this distraction? What keeps you so focused? Great question. I mean, in June we officially did it, and the talks began in like April, May. So my team was here in Southern California. We're in 9 states now, right? Now for me, again, looking at it from a perception standpoint, right? And just having a different perspective, which is a lot of stuff that, I've learned over the years, just learning and reading about other people who are very intelligent and very smart. I said, okay,
What's going to happen with the coronavirus is going to happen. I have no control over that. If they're going to shut me down for a month in real estate, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, what's going to happen is going to happen, right? I don't have my thumb on the government. You know, I'm not a part of the deep state and all that, right? Like I don't have any inside info, or I'm not at a high position to be able to manipulate, change it, or be above it, right? I'm in this. I'm just a regular human being, citizen like everyone else. So what's going to happen is going to happen. So why would I spend any time, focus, and energy on that? Which is what most people are doing. They're flipping through the news, the riots, this and that, very distracted, right? That has nothing to do with me. It doesn't. It really doesn't. So I'm going to focus on what can I do? And my first thought was, what is everybody else going to do right now? And I thought, take everything out, right? Pull all their money out of everything, retract, run away, chill, and live in fear. Yep. I said, if I want to grab a bigger piece of the pie, now's the opportunity, dude. Right. So I started spending more money with my real estate team on getting leads. I started getting into serious talks and saying, hey, I really want to expand the team. And I started brainstorming myself how I was going to do it. And literally within a week or two of doing that is when everything fell into place. And me, Carol and Paula started talking, and then everything started growing on the real estate side. New ideas came in, new opportunities, new ways of getting leads, right? New paid advertising, new strategies that we already had come up with prior to COVID that we implemented. All the stuff that I had done previously was ready because we had to do everything via Zoom and online. I'm good. I've already been doing that for years. Yeah. So I was prepared in a sense for something like this, but it's really just a different perspective, bro. And then when people are afraid to pull the trigger, I pulled the trigger. Mm-hmm. That's the difference. So I look at what other people are doing and I do the opposite. That's kind of my general rule of thumb. If people are pulling their money out and retracting, I'm going to dump 2, 3, 4, 5 times as much because it's scary and risky, but it's a calculated risk. Right. And the fact that I have less competition now increases my opportunity of breaking
tenfold. Yeah. And I experienced the same thing. Yeah. As soon as people start pulling out, man, I start doubling down on the advertising. But what would you say to somebody who wants to get started right now? And whether it's real estate, business, online business, who wants to get started right now, but it's like feeling uneasy?
Yeah. Well, you know, I think the feeling of uneasiness, we need to recognize it's normal because when you do something new, you're never comfortable, right? This is an example, right? This is an innate human fear. If I take Vernell, you watching or listening, and I dump you into like over here, I have like a little forest behind my house. If I dump you there and say, you're good, bro. Like I cleaned it. There's no animals. Nothing's going to happen. The moment I leave and you're by yourself, you're going to be scared because it's an unknown environment and you can't see. Now, every day, if you stay there, nothing happens to you. You're going to feel more comfortable. But the first day, you ain't going to sleep. You're going to hear a little bush rustling. You're like, what the fuck is that, right? And it's the same thing with this. You're doing something new. You don't have all the answers. You don't know what's going to happen. So, of course, you're going to feel scared. People get too caught up in that. Right? So my best piece of advice is understand that, but then at the same time, come up with a game plan. Like, I don't know very many people that sit there and brainstorm and say, okay, I want to be online now with my business and I want to sell pens, right? Think of what you would need to do. What type of videos would you make? What would that schedule look like, right? If you're going to collaborate, who would you like to collaborate with in the future? Who are you going to reach out to? And create an actual tangible plan that you have and can say, hey, I have something here. Because if somebody listening had a plan for real estate and they created it and they DM me, I would open that DM and respond to them because that's a proper DM from somebody who's actually taking action. Mm-hmm. So that's what I do now. And this is a tip for everybody, right? Especially if you want to connect with people. I answer most of my DMs when they're good questions. But if it's a random ass question, I won't answer it because it tells me they're not in the right headspace. Right. They're not doing anything. They're reaching out to me as a crutch for me to give them everything. I'm not going to do that. But the person who said, dude, I watched 63 of your videos. Hey, on this specific video from February 15, 2016, you said this. What did you mean by it? I'm answering that. Even if I have to send them 5 voice messages for 5 minutes, I'm answering that, right? That's effort. Right. That's putting work in. So even that plan and saying, I'm going to do this, even if you don't start yet, but you have a plan, now you can strategize and you have something tangible that you've done. That to me is the first step to doing it. You need to have a general macro level vision. Then you can get down to the nitty gritty. What am I going to do every day to build my brand? Mm-hmm. What is it going to cost? What's the time, that I'm going to have to contribute to it? What does that look like for the year? Just like we did the weekend you were with us in Florida with the team. We did the same thing and it doesn't take that long. A couple hours, you're done. But now, right, you've created something from up here. First, it's a thought and idea. Oh, I want to do what Vernell's doing. I want to go online and do my thing. Now, you have to make it real. And when you put it on paper and you create the plan, now it's real. Right. Now you have something. Now you're going to be activated to a different level versus just, I had this one idea, bro, 5 years ago. Right? That's one thing.
It's like, how does that work?
Yeah, having that on paper now, it's real. and you'll start to move differently. But a lot of people fail on that step because they'll just start looking at YouTube and playing up in fantasy instead of making it real.
Right. Oh, I want to collaborate with this person. I want to do this. I want to buy this course, and they never actually do anything.
Too much
take
here, not enough here.
In the actual world of taking action. But
absolutely.
As far as what you're doing going forward, like, is there any way we can find you? Oh, I'm sure there is. Why am I asking that? Yeah. Where can we find you and your stuff with the Modern Success? And do you have anything to plug pretty much?
Yeah, man. At Bryan Casella is my handles for everything. Bryan with the Y, Casella 1 S 2 L's. BryanCasella.com is my website where they can find all that good stuff. But yeah, if you type me in on Google, you'll find my YouTube, everything. Like, I'm very Googleable. I don't know if that's a word, but I have my complaints about Google, but that's a separate conversation, right? I know we could do a whole other podcast on that, but yeah, you can find me there. I don't have anything specific to plug, maybe the challenge and stuff that I'm doing at the end of the year here, but you can find that, on my social media, on my website, you'll see it. Yeah, whatever Bryan is doing at the point that we post this podcast, I'm gonna link it down below for you guys so you can check them out. But Bryan, I really appreciate you having me, or you having me. Yeah, of course. I appreciate you being here. I'm goofy, but that's gonna be it for this episode, guys. Beat the odds. Bryan Casella here. For anybody who wants to crush their goals going into 2021, listen to this not once, not twice, 3 times, and apply what he is saying so you can grow your business online.